Hello and welcome one and all to what are we playing this week. It's a show where I'm gonna try and recommend to you a couple of video games based on certain themes, ideas, criterias. And today's one is good short stories. These are tales that encompass only themselves, they have no sequels, they have no prequels, they're short stories you can enjoy playing. That being said, let's get started with the Gemini Rue. This is a game set in the far future when humanity has colonized all of space, well most of it, and you play as an ex-assassin called Azrael Odin. Now that's probably the most badass name ever made, and I sure bet that Will Smith wished he had thought of it when he decided to come up with the story of the movie After Earth. His name was Cypher Rage in that one, it was horrible. And in this game you try and find out what happened to your brother. Meanwhile, while you're doing that, you play as another character called Delta 6 who can't remember what happened to him, why he's there, and just hopes that someone comes to save him. It's a wonderful story, a bit heavy-handed at the end, but it's amazing, and you can find it now on GOG for the price of €9. I actually recommend you try and get as many of the Watch It Buy games possible because they either make or publish very good short adventure games with good stories. They even have a series that's kinda long actually called the Blackwell series that's also divided into shorter games with good stories. Up next is Among the Sleep. Now I've probably mentioned this game before. It's a sort of horror game. I say sort of because maybe apart from one jump scare at the beginning it wasn't all that scary for me, but keep in mind I've been playing scary games since a long time, and after you play Recitator on Item Shop's Tale there's just no game left that can scare you, like at all. In Among the Sleep you play as a tiny child that crawls about his house only to find it being transformed into a twisted and very scary place. One that's being stalked by monsters. I'll try not to give you any details about the story, I may have in another show, but the basic idea of it is that it really plays, because it's a game, it plays with perception. But not perception in a gameplay sense, but perception in a psychological sense. And I won't go into details because it's very well made in that aspect. Not necessarily the best horror game ever. They have VR support now, I believe, which I don't think actually adds anything to the experience because that's not what the forte of the game is. It's in the story. And you can find it now on GOG for the price of €13.50. Though actually it may come down in price because there's a big sale going on GOG right now, and I believe they're adding new games to that sale on a daily basis. And the last game today is, well, I believe it may actually have a sequel. It's To the Moon. There is another game called The Bird Story which I haven't played, but I believe it may actually be a sequel to this. But To the Moon itself is a very, very straightforward game with a very nice story. It does tease a sequel, but that's not really important. This is a game about an old man named Johnny who's on his deathbed, and before he dies, he enlists the service of a company that has technology capable of going into his brain and reforming his memories in such a way that he believes that something happened. In this case, he wants to have lived through the experience of going to the moon. But it turns out to be a lot more complicated than that. In terms of gameplay, this game is a bit on the light side. It's incredibly light on the gameplay. There's actually a very funny bit about combat once where the characters get attacked, well not attacked, get accosted by a squirrel, and they in their battle formation with the UI and everything, and one of the characters throws his shoes at the squirrel, and another character says, "What are you doing? Why are you standing around like that?" And there's never actually combat in the game. It's quite a funny bit, and I may have spoiled it for you. You can find To the Moon right now on GOG for the price of €9. And that would be it for this week. See you next time with another series of recommendations based on a new criteria. Maybe squirrels, but perhaps not. Thank you for watching this show. If you enjoyed it, please consider watching some of our other videos and maybe sharing them or giving a thumbs up if you feel like it. And if you really liked what you saw, please check out our Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you could help us make much better shows and get some rewards in the process. Or you could consider buying my book called Tale of Doom. Volume 1 is out now and available for just $2. And as always, if you thought it was horrible, you know where to find me and complain about it.